6 U.S. states just got an unexpected break from the storm. On August 12th, Washington and Beijing agreed to extend a 90-day China tariff truce, locking tariffs at 30% on Chinese goods and 10% on U.S. goods until November 10, 2025. That decision stopped a looming jump to triple-digit tariffs, as high as 145% and 125%, that could have hit overnight. It's a pause that means different things in different places. For some states, it's a lifeline for ports, factories, and jobs. For others, it's only a temporary shield from a blow that's still coming. We're about to take you inside California's bustling terminals, Georgia's expanding East Coast hub, and Washington's aerospace lifeline. We'll see how Texas, New York, and Wisconsin are using this narrow window to protect their economies. And we'll ask the question that matters most. When the clock runs out on November 10th, will they still be breathing easier? What changed? What didn't? On August 12, 2025, the United States and China agreed to extend their tariff truce for another 90 days, pushing the deadline to November 10th. Tariffs remain at 30% on Chinese goods entering the U.S. and 10% on U.S. goods going into China. This move avoided the sharp escalation to triple-digit tariffs, up to 145% and 125%, that was scheduled to take effect immediately. For consumers and businesses, it means no sudden price shock in the middle of the holiday shipping season. For state economies, it means the supply chains they depend on can keep moving without emergency cost spikes. But here's what didn't change. The underlying disputes over trade, technology, and market access remain unresolved. The pause is temporary, and the risk of a full tariff surge returns the moment the clock hits November 10th. In the meantime, some states have more breathing room than others. Their industries, ports, and workforces are uniquely positioned to benefit from the stability this truce brings, at least for now. So, which states are making the most of this short reprieve? Let's count down the 6 that are breathing easier and see why their relief might not last. Number 6. California. California's economy is deeply tied to international trade, and the 90-day China tariff truce came just in time for its busiest season. The twin ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach handle roughly 40% of all U.S. containerized imports. In July 2025, both ports posted historic volumes. Long Beach processed 944,000 TEUs, while Los Angeles hit nearly 1 million TEUs. These record numbers were partly driven by importers rushing goods in before a possible tariff hike. With tariffs holding at 30% instead of jumping to triple digits, retailers can move products without recalculating costs overnight. For California dock workers, truckers, and warehouse crews, that stability helps secure thousands of paychecks through the holiday season. State tax revenues also benefit, with steady cargo flows supporting fees and port-related business activity. The pause is especially important for consumer goods, electronics, apparel, and home products, much of which enters the U.S. through California. Importers now have a predictable cost base to set prices for Black Friday and year-end sales. Logistics companies can plan schedules without the uncertainty of sudden cargo cancellations or diversions. But this relief is temporary. If talks collapse in November, the state's supply chain could face immediate congestion as shipping patterns shift. California's reliance on high-volume imports means it's among the first to feel the impact of any tariff spike. For now, though, the ports are moving, the jobs are steady, and the state's trade engine is running at full power. The question is how long that engine can keep humming before the next shock hits. Number 5. Georgia. Georgia's port of Savannah has emerged as one of the biggest winners from the 90-day China tariff truce. As the busiest single-terminal container port in North America, Savannah has been handling more cargo than ever. In fiscal year 2025, the port moved 5.7 million TEUs, an 8.6% increase from the previous year. June alone saw over 410,000 TEUs, marking one of its strongest months on record. With tariffs holding at 30% on Chinese goods instead of surging to triple digits, importers are keeping their East Coast supply lines steady. Savannah's strategic location allows it to serve a growing share of U.S. retail and manufacturing distribution. The truce means shipping schedules can proceed without last-minute diversions to other ports. That stability supports more than 500 logistics companies and thousands of port-related jobs across Georgia. It also secures state revenue from port fees, fuel sales, and warehouse activity. Retailers benefit too, especially those stocking goods for the holiday season in regional distribution hubs. Savannah's recent investments in cranes, berths, and inland rail connections are paying off, ensuring it can handle larger ships and higher volumes. The 90-day pause gives Georgia's logistics sector the confidence to maximize this capacity. However, if the truce expires without a deal, shipping costs could spike and volumes could drop quickly. A sudden tariff jump would ripple through trucking routes, warehouse schedules, and retail supply chains. For now, though, Georgia's port system is running smoothly, making the most of this rare window of predictability. The state's challenge will be to use these 90 days to strengthen its position before the next round of uncertainty. Number 4. New York, New Jersey. The Port of New York and New Jersey is the largest on the East Coast, and the 90-day China tariff truce has given it valuable breathing room. In the first half of 2025, the port moved 4.417 million TEUs, a 4.9% increase compared to the same period last year. May 2025 was its busiest month on record, driven in part by importers front-loading goods ahead of the original tariff deadline. With tariffs holding at 30% on Chinese goods instead of jumping to triple digits, shipping volumes are expected to remain steady into the holiday season. That stability supports more than 60,000 direct and indirect jobs in port operations, trucking, warehousing, and related industries. It also provides consistent revenue for the Port Authority and surrounding municipalities through fees, leases, and business taxes. New York and New Jersey's extensive warehouse network benefits as goods move smoothly from ship to shelf without last-minute cost shocks. Retailers in the Northeast can plan inventory and pricing strategies with more confidence. The financial sector, concentrated just across the Hudson, also views the truce as a temporary relief from inflationary pressures tied to tariffs. This confidence helps steady markets at a time when consumer spending is critical. The port's ongoing infrastructure upgrades, including expanded berths and modernized cargo handling systems, mean it can process high volumes efficiently during this pause. But like other states, the relief is fragile. If the truce expires without resolution, the port could face sudden volume drops and scheduling chaos. For now, New York and New Jersey are using this 90-day window to keep cargo flowing, jobs secure, and the regional economy on solid footing. Number 3. Washington. Washington state's economy has gained critical short-term stability from the 90-day China tariff truce, particularly in its aerospace sector. Home to Boeing's massive assembly facilities in Everett and Renton, the state is a key supplier to global aviation markets, and China is one of its largest customers. In August 2025, Boeing resumed deliveries of the 737 MAX to Chinese airlines after a long pause, a move made easier by the extended tariff freeze. General Electric also secured approval to continue supplying engines for China's Comac aircraft, keeping a vital supply chain intact. With tariffs on U.S. goods to China holding at 10% instead of jumping to 125%, aerospace exports can move without sudden cost surges. This stability helps protect thousands of high-skilled jobs in engineering, assembly, and parts manufacturing. It also supports Washington's complex network of smaller suppliers, from precision machining shops to avionics firms. Beyond aerospace, the truce benefits the state's agricultural exports, including apples and cherries, which have faced steep retaliatory tariffs in past disputes. Ports like Seattle and Tacoma, part of the Northwest Seaport Alliance, see steadier container flows, helping maintain longshore and trucking jobs. State revenues from business taxes and port fees also benefit from uninterrupted trade activity. However, the breathing room is temporary. If the truce ends without a deal in November, aerospace orders could stall, and agricultural exports could again face punishing tariffs. For now, Washington is making the most of this 90-day pause to keep its manufacturing lines moving, its ports active, and its trade relationships with China on stable ground. Number 2. Texas. Texas, a powerhouse in energy and petrochemicals, is feeling short-term relief from the 90-day China tariff truce. But it's a cautious kind of breathing room. The state is the nation's top exporter of crude oil and liquefied natural gas, LNG, with China historically a major buyer. By holding tariffs at 10% on U.S. goods instead of jumping to 125%, the truce removes an immediate barrier to these exports. This has helped steady prices in global energy markets, easing volatility that can disrupt planning for Texas producers. Upstream companies drilling in the Permian Basin, along with downstream refiners in Houston and Port Arthur, benefit from predictable pricing and shipping schedules. Petrochemical exporters, producing plastics, resins, and industrial chemicals, also gain short-term certainty in moving products to Asia. The pause supports thousands of jobs tied to Gulf Coast ports, pipelines, and refineries. It also stabilizes state revenues from severance taxes and port fees. However, this reprieve has limits. Chinese imports of U.S. LNG and crude have yet to rebound to pre-trade dispute levels, with Beijing still sourcing heavily from Russia and the Middle East. If the truce expires without resolution in November, Texas could face renewed market instability and weaker demand from China. The state's vast energy sector is resilient, but it depends on stable global trade flows to keep investments and employment strong. For now, the 90-day window offers Texas a chance to lock in contracts, secure shipping slots, and prepare for potential turbulence ahead. It's a pause that buys time, but doesn't guarantee the boom will return. Number 1. Wisconsin. Wisconsin may not be the first state that comes to mind in a U.S.-China tariff discussion, but the 90-day truce is giving its tech manufacturing sector valuable breathing room. At the center of this is Foxconn's facility in Mount Pleasant, part of the company's broader U.S. investment in advanced manufacturing. While originally envisioned for LCD panels, the site has shifted toward producing high-end servers and components used in data centers, AI applications, and cloud computing. Many of these products rely on precision parts and electronics sourced from Asia, including China. By holding tariffs at 30% on Chinese goods, instead of spiking to triple digits, the truce ensures a more predictable cost base for these imports. This stability allows Foxconn and other Wisconsin manufacturers to plan production schedules and maintain pricing commitments to clients. It also safeguards hundreds of skilled manufacturing jobs and supports local suppliers, providing everything from packaging to logistics. Beyond Foxconn, the truce benefits Wisconsin's broader export economy, which includes industrial machinery and specialized equipment that could face retaliatory tariffs if the pause ends. The state's transportation hubs, including rail links to Midwest ports, also gain from steady shipping flows without sudden cost surges. However, like elsewhere, this relief is temporary. If negotiations fail and tariffs climb in November, Wisconsin's manufacturers could face higher input costs and disrupted supply chains. For now, the 90-day window offers a rare period of stability, a chance for companies to build inventory, adjust sourcing strategies, and prepare for whatever comes next in the Trump Tariffs 2025 landscape. Who didn't benefit? Not every state or sector is enjoying smoother waters under the 90-day China tariff truce. One of the most notable exceptions is the Midwest's agricultural heartland, particularly soybean producers in states like Iowa and Illinois. While the pause holds China's tariffs on U.S. goods at 10% instead of leaping to 125%, Beijing has yet to place significant new soybean orders from the U.S. for the current marketing year. Instead, China continues to favor Brazilian supplies, which remain competitively priced and logistically reliable. This means that, despite the tariff relief on paper, many American farmers are not seeing an immediate boost in export demand. Prices in U.S. soybean futures have ticked up modestly, but that rise has been driven more by political expectations and weather concerns than by confirmed Chinese purchases. Without concrete sales, storage bins remain full and farm revenues uncertain. The lack of new orders also ripples into related sectors, from grain elevators and rail operators to barge traffic on the Mississippi River. These industries depend on strong export flows to maintain profitability and employment. The situation underscores a key reality. A tariff truce does not automatically restore trade volumes or repair buyer relationships. For the Midwest, the pause is less a sign of recovery and more a reminder of how far export ties have shifted since the start of the trade war. Unless November brings a breakthrough, these states may find themselves still waiting for the benefits others are already feeling. Breathing now, but for how long? Ports are moving record volumes. Factories are running on schedule. Jobs tied to shipping, manufacturing, and logistics feel more secure than they did a month ago. But beneath the surface, the clock is ticking toward November 10, 2025. That's the day the 90-day China tariff truce expires, and triple-digit tariffs could snap back into place overnight. For some states, this pause has meant stability and planning power. For others, like the Midwest's soybean belt, the benefits haven't materialized at all. And if talks fail, even the current winners could become the next losers. In Trump Tariffs 2025, pauses aren't peace treaties. They're staging grounds for the next move. The question isn't just who's breathing easier today. It's who will still be breathing at the same pace when the rules change again. Because in a trade war, the calm can vanish as quickly as it came. What to watch before November 10th? The 90-day China tariff truce buys time, but it also sets the stage for a high-stakes countdown. Between now and November 10th, several indicators will reveal whether this pause leads to progress or a sudden escalation. First, watch container volumes at the nation's largest ports: Los Angeles, Long Beach, Savannah, and New York, New Jersey. Sustained growth would signal importers are confident in steady tariffs, while sharp drops could mean companies are bracing for trouble. Second, track Boeing's deliveries to China and General Electric's engine shipments for Comac aircraft. These are high-value exports that depend on predictable trade terms and reflect the health of aerospace ties. Third, monitor U.S. energy flows. Crude oil and LNG shipments to China remain below pre-trade war levels. Any significant pickup could indicate renewed buyer interest during the truce. Fourth, follow USDA's weekly export sales reports for soybeans and other agricultural goods. Actual purchase commitments, not just price movements, will show whether China is re-engaging with U.S. farmers. Finally, pay attention to political signals from Washington and Beijing. Statements, meeting schedules, and policy leaks can shift market sentiment overnight. Each of these factors will shape how ready states and industries are if tariffs snap back to 145% and 125%. In Trump Tariffs 2025, the winners will be those who use this short window to prepare, not just to hope. 90 days to prepare or pay. The 90-day China tariff truce is more than a pause in a trade war. It's a countdown to a potential reset in global commerce. For 6 U.S. states, this window has brought stability to ports, factories, and paychecks. For others, the benefits have been minimal or non-existent. On November 10, 2025, the tariffs could either stay at 30% and 10% or jump to triple digits overnight. That decision will ripple from shipping terminals to factory floors, from farm fields to consumer wallets. The states making the most of this moment are locking in contracts, moving goods, and securing jobs. The ones standing still may be caught off guard when the clock runs out. History shows that in Trump Tariffs 2025, pauses don't guarantee peace. They're often the quiet before the storm. So the real question is, who will still be standing when the next wave hits? If you found this breakdown valuable, subscribe for clear, fact-based updates as we track the countdown to November 10th and what it could mean for your state, your job, and your bottom line.